Round 1. Fight!
Hey, what is up everyone, and round 1 of Mecha Gaikotsu vs Backlog Mountain is 2009's high-grade RX-93 Nu Gundam. So this right here is actually a really nice build up to the fact that we're getting one hell of an awesome looking real grade of this particular mobile suit coming out very soon. So what can I say, we should get right into it. Anyway, as always, this video right here would not have been possible without those awesome people over at Hobby Link Japan. So if you're looking for Gundams, tools, and anime stuff, then the link is down there in the description. Now let's get right into it. So anyway, there's the Nu Gundam out of the box and stuff. Oh, yeah. Ignore that. I swear I'm not a Xeon sympathizer of any kind. I'm behind the EFSF all the way. Entirely. Not anti them at all. The sun related. Also, if you are an eagle-eyed person, you may have noticed that this was missing its verniers at the beginning of the review. That is because I took them off to paint them, and I used the chrome Gundam marker on the outside and the metallic red on the inside. The coat of red on the inside could be a little bit better than it is, but this was all done in one day. Actually, less than a day. I'm trying to get these videos built and reviewed in the same day, so again, the quality won't be the usual amount, you know, substandard to some degree. Either way, the chrome always looks good. The metallic red could use another coat. I might pop that on a little bit later, and I could say the exact same thing about the stickers on this. This kit does include some stickers, that is foils for correcting some of the colors, as well as some sticker style decals. The sticker style decals aren't the greatest, and even if you position them correctly, will go over some lines, so you'll have to cut those out with a blade. As for the build of this particular suit, I enjoyed this a lot. For a 2009 kit, I got a lot more enjoyment out of this than I thought I would. It's quite a solid little kit. The build is very straightforward, and there are a lot of old school aspects about it, which I'll talk about very soon. But it looks great. It looks fantastic. This is the redesign of Nu Gundam, by the way, not the old school version. The Verka is kind of like the old school version, and the new real grade coming up is more like a cross between the two to some degree. Kind of like the old school design with a bit of the redesigned colors. As far as I know, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But yeah, by 2009 standards, Bandai did pull out all the stops for this particular Gundam. It is Nu and Amuro suit after all, so that does make sense. Again, fun build, solid, but a little bit old school. So you may have seen over on Twitter or on Instagram that I am doubling down on reviews right now to try and get through the massive backlog that I have. So I did ask you guys what you wanted to see next, and absolutely nobody asked for this right here. This is just something I wanted to build myself because, what can I say? Nu is an awesome looking Gundam mobile suit. What you guys did ask for next is this right here, the Gundam Mark V, but as you can see, the lads down in Anaheim Electronics are still working on getting that thing up to spec and ready for video, aka it is not built yet, but I have to say, so far I am digging this kit. A whole lot of fun. Here's kind of what the build looks like, because I'm trying to fill up some time and also give you a little bit of a taste of what you do want to see. I enjoyed it a lot. There's some awesome layering going on, and P Bandai is getting a little bit ridiculous with what they're pumping out as full exclusive kits. Pretty damn cool that they're making stuff that would never exist. Anyway, back to the Nu. So anyway, getting into that full 360-degree spin, and this is one phenomenal looking suit right here. This model kit looks great. I will mention there is a lot of issues when it comes to color accuracy, so because this is a 12-year-old kit, you will have to whip out some paints. The only real sticker in here is a white one for on the V on its crotch, but besides that, you're going to need some brassy gold for on the propellant tanks, a whole bunch of colors for on the weapons, which I'll mention later on, the joints, the vents. To get this color accurate, there will be a lot of work to be done, but even as it stands, I did just panel line this with a flow style panel liner, and it still looks phenomenal, especially that face. That is one of the coolest looking Gundam faces around. It's both regal and threatening at the same time. The shade of blue is great. Some people may not agree because they would prefer purple, and to a degree, I agree. So now onto the size comparisons, and there it is side by side with the standard RX-78 So the Nu Gundam is a pretty big boy, but not quite as big as its anime counterpart, the Nu Gundam. By the way, that right there is the real grade, not the high grade. So anyway, onto some more size and collection comparisons. First off, there it is with a bunch of RX-78 that's in both 1/44 scale and 1/100 scale. So he's definitely a big kit, and even backing up for a high grade with those wings, it does stand out quite a bit. Next up there, it is crammed in beside Sazabi, so as you can see, he is quite big in comparison to a monolith like Sazabi, but we do have a high grade Nightingale on the way very, very soon, which should dwarf them all. Next up, there it is beside some Build Divers kits. If you ever wanted to know what size High Nu would be compared to those, there it is on your screen right now. Down in the dusty Zaku forgotten square of this shelf, which really needs a dusting, this is what he looks like beside some Zakus. Next up, there it is side by side with some 1/44th scale Universal Century suits from big to small, narrative being the big, F91 being the small. And last up, there it is side by side with some other high grade main suits. I do hope to make some more squares like this in order to have size comparisons ready to go, but this is what I got for now, and let's continue. So now moving on to the accessories, and here is the high-grade High Nu Gundam with absolutely everything that it comes with. So what we've got in here is the removable fin funnels, the shield, new hyper bazooka, beam rifle, as well as 2 beam sabers, one long and one short. So first up in here we've got the beam sabers, or should I say beam saber. This has a long beam up top and a shorter beam down bottom. In here we do have 2 handles, so you could have one long, one short in a kind of Age or 00 kind of way, but I will mention the High Nu Gundam is meant to have 3 beam sabers. That is the 2 that are up here in the backpack. By the way, if you pop out the beam, you can store the actual handles in the backpack, which is very, very nice, but we do not have the ability to store the 3rd or have a 3rd in the forearm. These are pretty simple and they just slot into the hands in the old school way of just popping them into the hands. And speaking of hands, what we've gotten here is just the standard set of holding hands, no dynamic ones, and one more hand for holding onto the beam rifle. Next up in here we've got the beam rifle, and according to the Gundam Wiki, the High Nu Gundam's primary weapon, the beam rifle, its output is variable and the maximum output can rival the mega particle cannons used by the warships at that time. It can also be used as a beam machine gun. That's impressive. However, sadly the high-grade variant of it, not so much. This is all cast in just 3 parts in that same gunmetal color the inner frame is, and as you can tell from one glance at the box that this is not color accurate. It is missing a whole lot of white, as you can see here in the instructions, which can go double for the bazooka in here. The bazooka should have a lot of white, be, well, primarily in white, but once again, it is also in gunmetal silver. It has a moving handle up front, which means you can move it around a little bit, but once again, you're going to have to get yourself some white paint. As usual, when you're popping the weapons into the hand, it's just as simple as swapping hands, and it's a ball joint attachment. Also, as far as I can see from the instructions right here, there is no onboard storage methods for the beam rifle or the bazooka when they're not in use. So next up onto the shield, and this actually looks really, really nice. We've got awesome color separation up front with the white and blue paneling. We also have a decal for using on this, but just like the rest of the decals in here, this is sticker style with massive borders on it, so you may want to cut this a little bit closer to the image to make it look a little bit better. Round on the other side, it has a very premium bottom. For 2009, it's nice to have color separation on the underside, a lot of 3D detailing, and it's in that cool metallic gunmetal, so that is nice. As for the attachment point, that is one of those adapters with the 2 pegs that you can choose whether you want to put the shield on the side or you want to put it round back. On the whole, this is a solid, decent shield. So last up then, we've got the fin funnels, and we've got 2 different types in here. First is just kind of like a display type fin funnel, which is 2 attached like so. This just pops up into the wing segments on the back like this, and these are mainly just a kind of display item. Second up, we've got an actual functional fin funnel. This one can be folded up like so, open out completely flat like this, or go into that typical Nu Gundam fin funnel attack mode shape. When you're not using this, you can just fold it up flat like so, it locks into place, pop it into the backpack. These hold on well, and I will say it, without a single doubt, I prefer the wings on the High Nu Gundam to the Nu Gundam, hands down. Honestly, I hope the backpack from the High Nu real grade will fit onto the real grade Nu, because that would be perfect. Well, as long as they don't fall apart. So anyway, moving on to the articulation, and as usual, we're moving from the head down. The neck on this is not your typical standard polycap, this is quite nice. It's a solid plastic neck that moves only back and forth at the bottom joint, and we've got a ball joint up top. Sadly, the collar and the big old chin on this kind of clash a little bit, so you can't get as much as you could out of it, but it's still pretty okay. Moving now to the shoulder, and this is not your typical polycap either. There is a mechanism inside of it and a peg on the outside. The mechanism inside lets us raise this peg up and down quite a bit, but the forward and back movement is a little bit limited. The shoulder armor can move independently to the arm, which is nice. There is the arm all the way up. Again, very, very nice. We've got the full 360 spin right here and a full 360 spin at the upper arm. We've only got a single point bend at the elbow, so it is a little just beyond 90 degrees, that is all. The wrist joint is just a standard ball joint, so it doesn't do a whole lot, but hey, he can still get, well, sassy, so it's fine. Still old school at the waist. If I pop him off, you can see this is an old school plastic ball in here for the waist joint. If you pop this up, you can get a little bit of an, well, ab crunch out of it, but all this does is loosen him up and make him floppy. Push that down again, and we've got that full 360 spin at that waist. Down at the skirting armors now, and the front skirting comes attached on the runner. I snipped it in half. This is a little bit on the loose side, but it won't fall off, it just will flop down. This was the same when it was attached, I will mention. The side skirting is quite simple. It's just a peg into a hole. It can raise up and down a little bit, forward and back quite a bit with the rotation, and around in the back we've got a basic, paralyzed, non-premium butt flap. Down at the hips now, and we've got that dreaded old school ball joint. I mean, this isn't even a grey ball joint, this is just armor white ball joint. We've got a polycap inside of the leg itself, so you can see we've got no rotation up at the upper leg. With it attached on, again, what we get to the kick to the front is actually quite good. Blocked to the back because of that paralyzed butt flap, and as you'd guess, not a chance when it comes to the splits. Like I mentioned, we've got no spinny up the upper leg, so no drill kicks here. The bend at the knee is double jointed, so it's not too bad. A little better than I actually expected from it. We don't have anything like some moving armor in the leg. It's very, very, very basic, this kit. And finally, down at the ankle, this is extremely limited. To the front, not a lot. To the back, even less. And side to side, again, you're not going to get much out of this kit. Yeah, basically, you're not going to get very dynamic poses or a whole lot of over-the-top looks out of this kit, but it can still pull off the basics quite well. It's the ankles that actually bother me the most about this, because you can't even get over-the-top flight poses. And finally, back to the backpack, and this is not so bad. You get some side-to-side swingage on the wings here. A little bit of up and down. Ignore the fact they fell out. That's because I had the side skirt pointing backwards. These aren't loose, but if you are abusive with it, they will fall off. Same with the top one. There is no movement to those feathers without unlocking the top ones. And as for the propellant tanks, these are on ball joints, so they can move around a little bit. I'm not sure what this thing is in the middle. I assume some kind of stabilizer, not as big as the old school Nu Gundam one like we would have seen on the Verka, and this can move up and down. On the whole, the articulation on this is quite decent. For a 2009 kit, it kind of mixes solid, non-fragile build with some fairly decent articulation. You're not going to get the most out of it, but for a 12-year-old kit, it could be a lot worse. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and to me, the high-grade, RG Nu Gundam from 2009 is silver tier. So that isn't so bad. This kit does have a couple of down points, but it has held up really, really well. As for the negative aspects, well, let's go through each aspect one at a time. When it comes to aesthetics, the negative aspects will be there is a bit of lacking color here and there. Again, 12 years old, so it could be a lot worse. It really makes up with good points, like the fact that this looks so dynamic. For a kit that is not 100% color accurate, it's still beautiful. The mold is fantastic, and essentially that's the most important aspect. You can add paint, but it's hard to change the physical looks of a kit. When it comes to the accessories, the worst aspect once again has to be the fact that they're not color accurate. Actually, I'd say one of the weakest aspects about this kit is the accessories. It is nice that you can remove some of the fin funnels, that is cool. The storable beam sabers up in the shoulders, or should I say the wings, that is also cool. The shield is cool, but the beam rifle and the bazooka are a little bit basic. But once again, all they're lacking is some paint. Finally then, when it comes to the articulation, it's not the worst, it is pretty good. You're going to get some nice basic poses. I wish you could point the feet down a little bit more. That is, well, my only gripe, honestly. So yeah, this kit has aged really, really well. To me, this is silver tier, and if you're thinking of picking it up, I still recommend giving it a go if you will put in the extra bit of effort. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you very, very soon. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without you right now watching this video. Thank you so much for watching, and potentially leaving a like, as well as everyone who helps out over in the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including Craig Jerry, Bakido Official, Caleb Engelhardt, Gunpla Chef, Joseph Cooklock, Lawrence Sehak, Mr. Winter, Sean T, Tito Lewis, Tyler Sanders, and Van Fawn. Once again, if I ever screw up any of you guys' names, jump on over to the Discord and let me know.